Deep within the cavernous archives of military history spanning millennia, no psychological maneuver has remained more entrenched in the soldier's spirit than severing all retreat routes forever. This insane decree transmutes latent fear within the warrior's breast into a raging fire, realizing that only two paths exist: total glorious victory or absolute cold annihilation. The Western world glorifies Hernando Cortés, the Spanish conquistador, who burned his fleet upon Mexican shores in 1519, claiming him the undisputed architect of this tactic. Yet true history whispers a different tale. For 8 centuries before Cortés, the drawn sword of Allah implemented this strategy with a far more profound martial genius. Today we dissect 2 battles from the heart of history's inferno, spanning 3 continents and divergent eras, to reveal the truth behind humanity's most desperate military gamble. We stand before a question haunting military historians even now: who truly forged the philosophy of no return and applied it with more masterful, world-altering precision? The answer shall not satisfy those accustomed to reading history through European lenses alone, for martial truth extends far beyond their textbooks and formal academic curriculum's borders. The Arabian desert birthed a military genius centuries ahead of his time, whose brilliance is no mere poetic legend, but a documented reality within the primary chronicles. In this episode, we place both titans side by side under the harsh light of rigorous academic analysis, without bias, letting the thundering facts speak their own truth. For a nation ignorant of its greatest strategic origins is a nation that glorifies others while forgetting its own majesty, enough to trouble any living awakened mind. In the year 1519, upon the rugged Mexican coast, Hernando Cortés faced a crushing existential dilemma, unsolvable by any traditional military logic or established tactical doctrine. He led a rebellious company of 600 invaders against the towering Aztec Empire, whose fanatical warriors numbered in the hundreds of thousands within their own lands. His soldiers plotted retreat to Cuba, fearing the military tribunal of Governor Diego Velázquez, who had already issued orders for his immediate pursuit and eventual certain arrest. Facing this terrifying reality, surrounded by political blades behind and war ahead, Cortés executed the most insane decision in the history of Spanish conquest across the oceans. He ordered his 10 vessels scuttled and completely destroyed upon the shore, reportedly telling his men that only forward remained and victory or death were their choices. In that decisive moment, fear within his men transformed from the dread of battle into something far heavier: the shame of having nowhere left to flee. This is the core of military psychology. When the path of return is severed, the soldier's mind stops wasting energy on escape and focuses entirely on victory. Cortés led his men from that charred beach toward Tenochtitlan, utilizing alliances with Aztec enemies and the lethal smallpox plague which harvested millions of lives in its wake. The campaign ended with the Aztec Empire's fall in 1521, transforming Cortés into a Western military legend, echoed by historians across every subsequent generation of scholarship. Yet the impartial military analyst notes a subtle detail: this decision was born of coercion, an internal political crisis response rather than a purely chosen strategic vision. In the Arabian Peninsula, 8 centuries before Cortés, a man was born whose equal the history of warfare has never known in tactical genius or output. Khalid ibn al-Walid, dubbed the drawn sword of Allah by the Prophet, did not merely burn ships but incinerated every thought of retreat within his soldiers' souls. Born in Mecca, this exceptional commander was a fierce opponent of Islam until his conversion, when God turned his brilliant military mind toward serving the nascent Muslim nation. At the Battle of Yarmouk, when Muslims buckled under the first savage assault, Khalid's voice shattered the air, demanding the emigrants and helpers hold their ground forever. He reformed the army amidst the swirling chaos, turning initial fracture into a tactical trap that drained the enemy's energy before crushing them into a historical lesson. Yet Khalid's greatest manifestation of no return occurred during the legendary march from Iraq to Syria, across the lethal Samawa Desert in 5 unbelievable, sun-scorched days. The massive Byzantine host entrenched in Syria expected Khalid via the northern routes, but the Sword of Allah chose the impossible path where death redefines its meaning. Khalid dug for water in the desert's depths and forced camels to drink immense quantities before sealing their mouths to serve as living reservoirs walking across sands. 7 days within the desert's belly, unparalleled in military operations history, the soldiers knew return was impossible through those flames. The forward path was their only salvation. This is the pure Khalidian essence of no return. He did not burn ships, but the road itself, making the desert a tomb behind and victory ahead. At the Battle of Walaja, Khalid dispersed his army into 3 wings amidst the marshes, attacking from directions the Persian mind could never have imagined or predicted. The Persian commander believed he fought multiple independent armies, but he actually faced a single brain moving pieces with more precision than the finest master watchmaker's hands. In the summer of 15 Hijri, upon the vast Yarmouk plains, the greatest Byzantine nightmare gathered against a Muslim army fighting with longing rather than through compulsion. 240,000 Byzantine warriors stood, many bound by iron chains to ensure none retreated during the heat of the most intense and violent close-quarter engagement. Curiously, the Roman commander enforced no return to coercion, yet Khalid's men were bound by something stronger than iron, faith, and a sincere desire for ultimate martyrdom. Khalid transformed into a phenomenon defying understanding. He altered army formations 10 times during 6 grueling days of slaughter without ever losing the cohesive unity of his ranks. On the 6th day, Khalid executed a flanking maneuver, pinning the Byzantine host from 3 sides in a suffocating valley, turning thousands into a trapped, helpless herd. 70% of the Byzantine army fell that day, and Emperor Heraclius fled Syria for Constantinople, bidding it a tearful farewell recorded in history's most sorrowful pages. This is the true metric. Cortés toppled one civilization using plague and alliances, while Khalid dismantled 2 empires with fewer men and no technological advantage to compensate. In academic military science, Cortés managed crisis by elimination, while Khalid crafted preventive offensive tactics, a fundamental difference spanning centuries of sophisticated strategic understanding and human psychology. Cortés burned ships because he lacked choices against politics and rebellion, whereas Khalid made the lethal desert his chosen path, launching his army with a cold, tranquil heart. Today, West Point and Sandhurst study Khalid's maneuver as a unique model for managing combat complexity and shifting formations under live fire with absolute, unyielding, and perfect precision. The faithful soldier seeing martyrdom as prophet needs no burning ships to fight without limits, for his faith is the eternal flaming vessel that carries him forward. British historian Edward Gibbon wrote that had Khalid been given time, no army on earth could have stood against him, a rare admission from a noble adversary. True judgment declares both men bold geniuses, yet the East achieved what the West claimed ages later, a fact proven by logic before any ancient historical document. At the end of this journey between continents, the impartial historian declares, Khalid did not merely burn ships, he incinerated the very foundations of traditional military logic. Nations knowing their heroes and strategic origins can reproduce that brilliance in new generations who carry the banner of history into the vast unfolding landscape of the future. Khalid ibn al-Walid is no mere figure in ancient texts but a philosophy of turning weakness into power, utilizing psychological terror as a pure and offensive weapon. History shows no mercy to those ignorant of their past, nor forgives nations mesmerized by foreign heroes while their own memories hold titans of far greater depth. Let this episode break the silence over our civilization, returning every genius to his rightful place, for fairness in storytelling is a debt of honor for all.